2 balls and a strike to count on Taylor. Reyes fires, swinging a drive, deep left field. This is way back. Welcome on. Let's Taylor.
What's up, everyone? Welcome into Dodger Heads, presented by DodgerBlue.com, part of the Blue Wire Podcast Network. My name is Jeff Spiegel, joined today by Matthew Moreno, Blake Williams, with a little bit of breaking news on a Monday morning. The Dodgers and Jason Heyward reportedly agreeing on a 1-year, $9 million deal. Kylie McDaniel of ESPN, I believe, was the first person to get this one. So a familiar face coming back to the Dodgers. I would say kind of the first significant move the Dodgers have made so far. Matt, I would guess none of us are surprised by this reunion. Was the number surprising to you? Was the speed at which they made this decision surprising to you? Was there any part of it?
If I had to pick one area, I would say maybe that it was for $9 million. But I mean, it could just be that that's where the market is going to sort of end up settling. Like you said, there hasn't really been a whole lot of movement in free agency across the board in general. And the few signings there have been, either official or reported, have pretty much all been pitchers and starting pitchers. So, in some sense, we may look back on this and say, hey, like Dodgers got Heyward back for, only 1 year, but only $9 million, depending on how things sort of shake out from here on out.
Yeah, Blake, we've had conversations on here. MLB Trade Rumors had him projected at 2 years and $16 million. And I was kind of on an island as being okay with that number. So if I was okay for 216, 1 for 9 is a great deal. But I think that was kind of the pushback that you, among others, offered was the length of deal. So do you like this number for the Dodgers and Heyward?
I like that it's 1 year. I don't love the $9 million there. I was kind of hoping they'd look for upgrades more this offseason rather than prioritizing bringing Jason Heyward back. So this kind of takes them out of some other potential options maybe there. Like we've talked about Jock Peterson on the show, and maybe they just view him as more of a DH, so he doesn't really fit there, or maybe going after a bigger name like Jorge Soler. So I kind of feel like this takes them out of things like that. And Heyward was solid last year, but I do feel like there's some regression coming. So I just don't love the signing right now, especially at that $9 million number.
And I guess the big point here to what you're saying, Blake, is what does this mean moving forward? Obviously, Ohtani, Jason Heyward, Yamamoto, these are all mutually exclusive moves. The Dodgers needed to solve some outfield holes, and Heyward does that. Ohtani and a starting pitcher weren't going to do that. So this type of move we knew was going to happen. And again, Heyward, as many people know, had a great season last year. 270 batting average, 340 on base, 473 slugging. So you've got an OPS over 800, 2.2 wins above replacement. Now, a platoon player, but also a positive voice in the clubhouse. And so the question now is, do the Dodgers have more moves to make in the outfield, or is this kind of the finished product? Is it going to be Jason Heyward with some combination of Chris Taylor, Michael Busch, Miguel Vargas potentially playing some outfield? They've got Johnny DeLuca on the roster. Matt, do you see this as the Dodgers kind of putting a patch on the outfield and saying, all right, now it's all of the rest of our attention is going to be focused on Ohtani and starting pitching? Or do you think there might be more moves still yet to be made on the outfield front?
Yeah, I agree with Blake. I hope there is more ahead. And as much as I am okay with Heyward coming back, and even I'm not going to split hairs over whether I believe maybe they should have paid him $5 million or $6 million or $7 million instead of $9 million. Like at that point, it is what it is. And like you said, he was productive. I think for me, and like Blake just sort of brought up as well, is it was in a platoon role, and that's fine. And Heyward being back allows the Dodgers to move Mookie Betts to second base, which I thought was a great thing all around. Whether it initially began as trying to take some wear and tear off Mookie's body of him not having to roam the outfield as much. And then we kind of saw that Dave Roberts alluded to it, that he thought Mookie playing second base sort of kept him a little bit more focused and engaged. And so maybe his production was a little bit better. And so if that makes sense, then fine. I, in general, agree. Like Blake said, I do want to get away from hey, we're going to platoon in right field. We're going to platoon in left field. We're going to platoon at second base. I think the Dodgers need to focus on, getting as many regular, and it's just my belief to roster construction, getting as many regular kind of everyday starters as possible. And what I'm a little concerned with is if they are done with the outfield, then you basically have a platoon in right field with Heyward and Mookie. and you probably are going to end up having one in left field with Chris Taylor. Brandon Gomes mentioned Michael Busch and Miguel Vargas possibly playing out there. And so, if they are done, which I'm worried like they could potentially be, at least with the outfield a little bit, like it would be a little concerning, but I'll try to give Andrew Friedman and his front office some benefit of the doubt and say there's several weeks left ahead. We haven't even reached December yet. Maybe they'll end up pulling off a trade. They're in trade talks reportedly with different teams for starting pitchers. And we know Andrew Friedman is not adverse to expanding those deals to including other players.
Yeah, and it's, the thing about platoons is it's finding guys who actually succeed in those roles, which I think is one of the benefits of Heyward, is that not every player can come in. I mean, this is something Jock Peterson, even Kike Hernandez struggled with initially, with this idea that they weren't going to play every day. So with a guy like Heyward, who can play a platoon, who gives you defensive versatility and was solid defensively, but also performed in this role, not playing every single day, I think those are all benefits. There's probably a little bit of a bump for the off the field advantages of having Jason Heyward, by all accounts, a great clubhouse guy, a clubhouse leader. So I think all this lines up. I don't know if I need to credit, is it Daniel or Scott, that there's no such thing as a 1 year deal, bad 1 year deal. I think that's Daniel's line. Again, $9 million, it's not our money. We think they're going to blow past the apron anyways. And so, again, to your point, 7 million, 9 million, who cares? Blake, what's the next move for the Dodgers from the outfield perspective? Obviously, starting pitching, Ohtani aside. The 40-man roster, I believe, is full with this move. That this would bring them to 40, I believe. So that doesn't really mean anything. Like there are a handful of guys we've talked about multiple times that could easily be moved if they make a trade, especially. But is there more out there, Blake, in your estimation, that needs to be done? Or if they were able to add Ohtani as a designated hitter, and if they were able to add, let's say, 2 impact arms to the rotation, would you be okay with the position player group as currently constructed?
I think they still need a starting caliber everyday outfielder who they can just plug into left or right field and just let them be for the whole year. But when I was kind of looking over how their roster is constructed, I feel like it's going to end up being Jason Heyward and then another platoon left-handed hitter in left field, and then Chris Taylor and Mookie Betts playing against left-handed pitchers in the corner outfield spots. So I think they're going to add another left-handed hitting outfielder, similar to what they did with David Peralta last year. Hopefully they get an actual upgrade this time and figure something out there. But just from my personal perspective, I would really like to see them go and get another actual starting caliber player. So I really hope they're not done. If they are done, I'm going to feel this is worse than we're talking about it right now. If this is all they do, I'm not going to be happy with it. If they go out and get someone else, I can be talked into liking this. But just going back to last year, Heyward started to regress like in the second half and then near the end of the season. And he ended up with pretty poor expected stats across the board. He was good at not striking out and not swinging and missing, but his expected batting average was in the 39th percentile. His average exit velocity was in the 20th percentile. His barrel rate was in the 47th percentile. His hard hit rate was 28th percentile. So I just don't see him having another great year again. So if you're paying for like a platoon fifth outfielder kind of off the field stuff, sure, but you still need to go and make another move.
Matt, just to be clear, expected batting average, that's a nerd stat because it says expected, but it's batting average. Are you on board with expected batting average?
No, not at all. Blake threw out way too many nerd stats for me right there. I tuned out. He said expected batting average in my ears. His audio just cut out. I didn't hear anything he said after that.
Yeah, okay. Fair enough. I mean, my thing is, I like Heyward. I like this signing a lot. 9 million, that sounds like a lot. I mean, Jock Peterson signed for like $20 million a couple of years ago. And look, I'm not saying Heyward is as good as Peterson. I'm just saying the cost of players has gone up and up and up. And so $9 million, 1 year deal, no long-term commitment. Thumbs up for me. If the Dodgers go out and get Ohtani and have the best designated hitter in baseball, if they go out and sign 2, top 3 starting pitchers, then I'm going to be fine with the position player group as currently constructed. That's kind of where I land. Matt, I'll give you the final word here. Are you in the same boat? Like if they go and spend their resources elsewhere and then say, okay, Busch, Vargas, DeLuca, like these types of players are guys that we're just going to count on. Because look, you could say Mookie's your everyday right fielder, Outman's your everyday left fielder or center fielder, and then you've got some combination of platoon guys in left. You've got to figure out second base between Bush, Vargas, whoever. It's not like they have a shortage of people. It's just a matter of, are they the right people?
I will be okay with it if it's Yamamoto and Ohtani are the two main pieces that they end up adding to the roster. And I mean, I guess I'll hedge a little bit. If it ends up being Ohtani and, Burns, then sure. Like, and maybe Cease also, like, I don't know, like, fine.
Yeah.
But if I think obviously Ohtani from a lineup perspective will be able to mask a lot of, maybe platooning, maybe, I don't want to call them disadvantages because the point of a platoon is to gain an advantage. Yeah. But I do agree with Blake. Like I said, my preference is to just get kind of an everyday caliber outfielder in one of the corner spots, and maybe they still will. But yeah, I mean, if it's Ohtani and a, tier 1 starting pitcher, then I'm okay if the position player group is relatively unchanged after signing Heyward.
All right. Well, let us know what you all think in the comments below. If this is the last move the Dodgers make outside of Ohtani and starting pitching, would you be okay with this? This is an A. I give this an A. I like Jason Heyward. I like that it's a 1-year deal. I was ready to give him 2 at $8 million per, so the $9 million doesn't freak me out either. But let us know what you think in the comments below. That is Matt Moreno. That is Blake Williams. I am Jeff Spiegel. As always, check out DodgerBlue.com for all the latest Dodger Blue 1958 on social media as well. Enjoy the rest of your day, folks. And as always, go Dodgers.